Oh, you can see the effects of the kingdom, but you'll never see the kingdom unless you come to me. Jesus gets right to the heart of the matter. I love that. I love when you see MacArthur or Swindell or one of these guys, TV guys, and they ask them a question, what do you think about Haiti? And they say, people need Jesus in Haiti. What do you think about this horrible economy? People need Jesus to be able to make it through. Well, no matter what the topic is, we've got to take people to Jesus. People need Jesus terribly today. Let's pick it up in verse 11. And I'm going to go through this pretty quick, and I think it's pretty simple. The problem of unbelief. Nicodemus is confused and ignorant because of unbelief. Unbelief is the starting point. If you start not believing the truth about Jesus, you can't accidentally wind up there. That's where confusion comes today. So Jesus said, 11 and 12, most assuredly I say to you, we speak. Remember what Nicodemus said? We know that you've come from God. He is speaking with his disciples now. We speak what we know and testify what we have seen. And what's the problem with Nicodemus? You don't receive our witness. You don't receive it. And why doesn't he receive it? Verse 12? He says, if I told you earthly things and you do not believe, how will you believe if I tell you heavenly things? You have a problem of believing. You don't receive because you don't believe. It's that simple. 7 times in these 10 or 11 verses, we're told that belief is the key. And what's the answer to unbelief? No one, he says in verse 13, no one has ascended to heaven but he who came down from heaven. Jesus' origin is heaven. He says, I know what I'm talking about, Nicodemus. You are from the earth and you're trying to figure out heaven. I have come down to simplify and clarify. I am the Son of Man. I am the one who has come down from heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. That's before John 3:16. You remember in the book of Numbers, there was a plague on Israel, and God had struck them, and they had disobeyed, and they needed to be healed. And God told Moses to put a snake on a pole, and all who looked by faith on that snake would be healed. And he uses a very familiar passage that every Jew would know. But it wasn't the snake that did it, it was the faith in what God provided. And look at verse 16. For God so loved the world. Is this an easy world to love? Is it? It's a hard world to love. I'm hard to love sometimes. My guess is you're hard to love sometimes. Sent my wife some flowers, and on that card I told her why I loved her. Sent my daughter some flowers and told her that she was my favorite girl, not to tell her mother, but she did. And in both of those cards, I gave them reasons why I love them, because they're good to me and because of the way they are attentive to me, and it's all good. See, God doesn't love me that way. The card that God gave me was, John, I love you despite the way you are. I love you despite your rebellion. I love you despite the fact you've turned your back on me. Jim Fuller. I love you because I love you. It's a different kind of Valentine today, isn't it? He so loved the world, an abundant, a lavish. It was in one of the songs, he lavished his love. And that if you would believe in him, you will not perish, but you will have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him. That's the answer to unbelief, Nicodemus, and everyone here. And how about the results of unbelief? He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already. We are in a status or a state of condemnation. And we want to get that off of people. It matters. All the mission money and all these things, they're not reports, they're people. These are people, and these are real people that are going to live forever somewhere. And we have prayed well, and we have given well. But I'm going to beg you to keep praying, because we need more people to go. to go to the places these flags represent, and to forget about the money. If God puts a burning heart on you to go, we will find the money for you to go. We need you to go. That's one thing we're lacking. He who does not believe is condemned already, because he's not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation. This is a great time, by the way, to think about examining yourself. This is the condemnation, that the light has come into the world. And why didn't people come to Jesus? Because men loved darkness rather than the light, because their deeds were evil. You don't run to the light when you're doing wrong. For everyone practicing evil hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his deeds should be exposed. But here's the key verse. But he who does the truth comes to the light, that his deeds may be clearly seen, that they have been done in God. I have come to you, Lord, today in the light. I've come to you in the fellowship. I will come to the table, and I will sit across the table from you, Lord, knowing that you know everything that I have done. You know the intentions and the motives of my heart. You know it all. I come to the light and say, may all that I have done be done in you, for you, by you. And Lord, if you see anything in me that I don't see before communion, Lord, would you take it from me and show it to me? This is very significant. I want you to bow your heads. And I want the deacons to come to the front in their place. And I want to ask you a few questions. Are you any way like Nicodemus? Maybe you're committed, and maybe you're careful, and maybe you're confident, but is there any confusion? Is there any chance that you are not converted? Would you be like Nicodemus that day and think that Jesus offers you something that you already possess? It's not for me to decide. But I want you to know this. You do not have to possess great faith to participate in the Lord's Supper. You do not need great faith. You don't have to understand everything in the Bible. You don't have to understand all the mysteries. You don't have to unfold the pages of Revelation. You do not need great faith. You need a simple faith. You don't need great faith to participate in the Lord's Supper, but you need to possess a greater faith than Nicodemus had that day. And as you are praying, give thanks to God for His unconditional love.